Hey everybody, I hope you're having a great day. Today is Sunday, it's my prep day, and basically what I'm going to do with all of these vegetables and items that are left over from last week, I'm going to put them in a saute pan and cook them down, and then add some diced tomatoes, a little bit of chicken stock, and some northern beans. This is going to be a brothy bean soup with I've got a little bit of filet, a little bit of hamburger, and lots of vegetables. So it'll be delicious. I hope you stick along with me for the ride to see how it turns out. And these are the ingredients that I'm going to be using. Everything's chopped up and ready to go, so stay tuned. When I saute vegetables for a stew or a soup, I always start with the vegetables that are a little bit firmer to get them going. So I'm going to do the zucchini, squash, and the carrots first. Let them cook down a little bit. Then I'm going to add the onions and the pepper. Since the meat is fully cooked, I'm going to add it last. And then I'll top it off with the spinach to make sure that it gets cooked but doesn't wilt all the way down. Okay. So, added a little bit of olive oil to my saute dish here, my pan. Oh, carrots. Forgot you. This is just a great way to get rid of all of your vegetables that you have that are either going to go bad or that you have had for a while that you want to kind of get rid of. We've talked about it before. I like to use thyme in a limited capacity. I use oregano all the time, but thyme itself is great in soups and in stews. Now this garlic powder, it looks like I've used a ton of it, which I kind of did. Gives you some great flavor without the salt, which is good. This is the pink Himalayan salt that I like. And then I'm gonna do the ground pepper. So, all this is gonna cook down, get very translucent. You know I love my purple onion, but this hamburger has some seasoning to it that we made the hot and juicies with last week. And the steak has McCormick's Montreal steak seasoning on it. So everything's seasoned except for the vegetables, and that little bit of combination of thyme, basil, oregano, garlic, and Himalayan salt is going to be great on these vegetables. So let these cook down, then I'll add the rest and we'll keep going. Okay, so I have cooked down the vegetables and I'm ready to transfer them into another pan here because I have so much. And I'm basically going to cook some for us for dinner tonight to go with our meal. And I've split the vegetables in half. Half is going to go in the freezer and half is going to go towards our dinner tonight. So go ahead and make the transfer of the vegetables and then separate everything down to finish the spinach and the beans. Let me see if I've got a better spoon for this. Okay, so I'm ready to go. Got this one on too, on low now. So I'm going to do half of my beef. In one pan and half in the other. This is going to be a great leftover for lunch to take to work too. Got half of my hamburger. Okay. Gonna just keep that moving. I'm going to do half of my northern beans. of my diced tomatoes, half of the juice. The other half goes here. So you see you have these yummy brothy beans, which I got some of the inspiration from this recipe from Allison Roman's cookbook. She is the queen of brothy beans. So basically what you're doing is you are adding beans for the protein and the starch in with your vegetables, and you are creating this beautiful broth with your beans and your vegetables and your tomatoes, and everything is so colorful and so pretty. And then you're going to finish it off with about, I don't know, a cup of chicken stock for each recipe. It's not a soup and it's not a stew. It's just a really delicious brothy mix of vegetables and flavors. You can make it more of a soup if you want, and if you want it to be thicker like a stew, you can add potato flakes that you use for mashed potatoes, and that will certainly thicken it up. Or you can take a can of northern beans and puree it to get the thickness to thicken up your soup. I'm probably going to add a little bit more chicken stock, but I've added my spinach. Stir that up. The key is to let this cook and simmer down, and it is going to become the most delicious broth you've ever had. So once you cook it down, if you have any leftovers, save the broth to use elsewhere, and it'll have all the great flavors of the vegetables and the meat. So it's probably a cup and a half per recipe. So one's to eat and one's to freeze. And I got rid of all of my leftovers. And everything looks delicious. I'm gonna add a little bit more seasoning now since I've added some more ingredients. Add a little bit more basil, a little bit more oregano, a little bit more thyme, and some more garlic powder. I'm not going to add any more salt. I'm going to just let the salt stand where it is, because like I said, the meat was seasoned and so was the hamburger. And the pepper. Now, one thing I did not add that I think is really important is you're going to need to get a bay leaf and let that cook down. You put the top on everything. Put a couple bay leaves in and stir that in. Put the top on and you are done. All right, guys, that's it. This is definitely called eating the rainbow for sure. Whoops. Okay. Let these cook for about 30 minutes, and then we will separate it into the container to freeze and get ready to have it for dinner.